Hey everybody, it's Aidan here once again, and welcome back to the channel as it's time to stick on some of the non-copyright smooth jazz, fire up some sort of engine, and drift sideways down the tow course of chat in another episode of my opinions and analysis series, Pressing Issues. Now, unlike Storytime, which is told as it happened with no bias whatsoever, Pressing Issues is the series where all that goes out the window and you get me as close to uncensored as YouTube will allow before stuff starts getting demonetized. Also, I'm battling an illness right now, so apologies if I sound like the EA Sports guy. EA Sports. It's in the fucking game. Bitches. So this video comes off the back of one of my Storytime videos, and a question that has been asked several times, not just on that video, but also in Discord. Can betting companies replace the lost tobacco money? Now, I will leave one of those pop-out banner things in the top right-hand corner so you can go to that video and watch at your leisure, but it did actually get me thinking. Since the demise of tobacco sponsorship, there has been a bit of a dark age for sponsors in motorsport. Banks don't want to get involved in sports because of the global recession of 2008. Payday lenders have been binned, at least in the UK, because of how unethical they've turned out to be, and alcohol is still a bit of a grey area. Now, a word of warning here, I know that this is a sim racing channel that inadvertently started blowing up last week through storytelling, but I'm going to have to delve into the sport that is football for a lot of this video. Yes, football. Soccer. My other favourite sport. It's like religion, except it's not made up. I mean, it stopped a war for a whole day. Put simply, football is stuck firmly in the back pocket of the gambling companies.
If you like a bet, check this out.
Up, tap, bet.
The number of corners.
See it, build it, back it.
The match goals.
£20 million in free bets.
The final score.
Get boosted odds on 3 o'clock's biggest games.
You place bets, you get free bets.
You can watch it, and you can get involved in it.
You just gotta take the money and run.
When the fun stops, stop.
And you only have to turn on Sky Sports to see how bad it is. Bournemouth, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Everton, Fulham, Huddersfield, Newcastle United, West Ham, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Aston Villa, Burnley, Birmingham City, Brentford, Bristol City, Bolton, Derby, Ipswich, Hull, Leeds, Middlesbrough, Norwich, Nottingham Forest, Preston North End, Queen's Park Rangers, Stoke City and Swansea are sponsored by a casino or betting company. Some of these companies are sponsoring multiple teams. 32 Red, which sponsors a team in V8 Supercars Down Under, sponsors 5 teams in the Championship, English football's second tier, almost a quarter of the teams in that league. In fact, only 5 teams in the second tier of English football, Millwall, Reading, Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, West Bromwich Albion and Wigan, are the only teams not to be affiliated with a betting company. In the 2018-2019 English football season, 9 of the 20 teams in the Premier League and 17 of the 24 in the Championship have the logos of betting companies on their shirts. Searching football betting on Google yields 112 million results. And it doesn't stop there. While I was visiting my parents over the Easter break, we were watching Barcelona decimate Manchester United in the Champions League, which is a European club competition. And every ad break, put a bet on, 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 put a bet on. But not just football, but snooker. Snooker had been sponsored by tobacco companies in the past, and has now become part of this gambling boom. What was once the Embassy World Snooker Championship is now the Betfred World Snooker Championship. The Masters, which was once the Benson and Hedges Masters, is now the Dafabet Masters. And at the time of writing this piece, only Force India, or whatever the hell they're called these days, is associated with a betting company. They are, officially, Sports Pacer Racing Point. Will this start off a new trend in Formula 1, or will teams not want to go near these companies? Because in many ways, the gambling industry and the tobacco industry are similar. They're both age-restricted products. They both have an almost unlimited supply of cash. The only difference being, the marketing of gambling sites and apps is 1,000% more aggressive than tobacco, with the live odds being updated break by break. £10 free bets or just free bets in general. Gambling has become the norm, and the Gambling Commission's most recent statistics state that there are nearly 500,000 adults in the UK with a defined gambling problem. A further 2 million are at risk. So to put all this into context, that's a town the size of Bradford that already has a problem, and an area the size of Birmingham and the Black Country that is at risk. In turn, the gambling industry made £14 billion off bets placed in the UK alone between April 2017 and March of 2018, which was an increase on £13.8 billion the previous year. Approximately 450,000 children have gambled in the last week alone, and it's spread to video games with loot boxes and those FIFA Ultimate Team Packs and so on. I mean, you've probably seen them, people that spend 300 quid just to get messy. So really, is the gambling industry now, in football, as unethical as what was going on in motorsport in the 90s? With the football stuff, you're using aggressive marketing to lure people in, and with the tobacco, well, we've all seen the research as how addictive nicotine is. But will it get to the point where a team such as Williams will just have to sell its soul to the devil to get that cash injection? Because back in the good old days, tobacco companies would throw money at a team to get the best drivers they could get their hands on. No way would Eddie Jordan today be able to hire Damon Hill because the budget would just not be there. A gambling company would be able to foot that bill with absolutely no issue whatsoever. But while smoking causes lung cancer, gambling causes things much worse. People lose their partners, their kids, and when it gets really out of control, they'll throw themselves off a bridge because it's all too much to handle. One person interviewed by the Guardian newspaper in Londonderry, Northern Ireland, said he'd sit on his laptop all day gambling and lost 2 friends to suicide, one of them being linked directly to gambling debts. Now, Northern Ireland in general, not just Londonderry, has the highest suicide rate in the UK. In my own personal opinion, this weaponised ad campaign by the gambling industry has started to ruin sport. It's hooked a generation of young lads into this thinking that you have to whack 10 quid on the first goal or do a 10-team accumulator to enjoy a game. What will be next? Sky Bet having live in-play odds for a botched Ferrari strategy or a Max Verstappen punt? I can see the temptation for teams like Force India to take the sport to pay some money. There is a huge supply of it. But if anything, it's probably just as immoral an industry as the tobacco industry. The tobacco industry profits on death and addiction, while gambling profits on people's naivety, bad judgment and luck, and seems unwilling to help those who have become addicted to the practice. In 2016, prominent bookmaking chain Paddy Power was found to have deliberately enabled a problem gambler, and in turn this poor fellow lost his job, house and access to his kids. These companies prey on the weakest. They spent £1 billion in advertising last year and pocketed a £13 billion profit. The amount they paid to help people with addictions, $10 million. Now, tobacco was a social thing. I know plenty of social smokers. You know the kind. I only smoke if I'm out with my mates. I only smoke if I'm having a drink. No, Becky, what you do is you smoke someone else's fags and never return the favour by buying your own. Sure, like I said, smoking causes lung cancer, heart disease, blah blah blah. But gambling can cause crime, unemployment, bankruptcy, homelessness and mental health problems. When was the last time someone held up a corner shop for a packet of Lambert and Butlers? Does Formula 1 want to associate with that? People seem more willing to help smokers kick the habit than someone who's addicted to putting a tenner on how many corners there'll be in a match. Yes, that's something you can bet on. In the Italian football leagues, they have banned the gambling adverts outright in their sport. But this has attracted criticism, as even Serie A, the Italian Premier League, is worried that those who are already into gambling will turn to unregulated companies and harm the league's ability to compete financially in terms of buying players. It's a one-team league anyway. But it may have some advantages. Remember how Marlborough sponsored young drivers back in the day? The betting companies can do that too. Find the next hotshot driver and pay for his junior career. The talent pool gets larger, the overall standard of the grid increases. Those talented drivers will then find their way into a team at any point on the grid, not just at the front. More money for backmarker teams, gap closes. The aerodynamic arms race isn't just confined to the top 3. And some of these companies have some pretty funky logos, so we might get some colourful liveries back, but that's something else. So like I say, this is a difficult one, and I'd like your opinions on it. Should F1 teams go after the betting companies? Or do you think they won't want to associate with them due to the catastrophic things that can happen to people? Leave your opinions in the comments. So thank you very much for watching. This has been a shorter episode pressing issues than normal. I've been Adam Ord, and like I said, be sure to like this video if you've enjoyed it, and hit the subscribe button to get all the latest from this channel. Thanks as always go out to my patrons on Patreon that are on your screen. And if you want to help this channel in a more personal fashion, you can join them by following the link in the description or in the end card. And if you want to chat in real time to me and other subscribers, I've got a Discord, so come in and join the chat there and share tips, mods, or organise some races. Also, thank you so much for 5,000 subscribers. Hopefully this won't turn into a regular thing where I'm having to thank you every single time for another milestone. But it's absolutely unreal the amount of growth in the last few days, so thank you once again. So that's pretty much it. Like I say, get a discussion going in the comments. And until next time, have a great day wherever you are, and goodbye.